Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to my basement in the great state of Kansas. Today's video, I'm continuing my series on ranking all the Oscar-winning Best Picture winners, which was 95 in total. I am now down to 65 through 56 on my list. So we're getting about halfway through the list here, and so stay tuned to hear my thoughts here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a Friday evening period. And first, I want to say Sunday, planning on doing a live stream with Adam from What the Gym and Bri from Bri's Music Showcase. 2 p.m. Well, let's see. I think it'll be 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I think we hit daylight savings time actually Sunday here in America, and yeah, so I'm going to be doing that with those two. We're going to do half of our group's 50 bands and artists that we're inducting into our own 1960s Music Hall of Fame. So we'll go through 25 of those picks, the three of us anyway. So hopefully that'll be a lot of fun. Definitely a big video I've been planning be Sunday anyway. So besides that, today we're dealing with the Oscar winners for Best Picture, 95 in total so far. This was suggested by my actually older sister, Abby, who won a Oscar contest. I did this last year, which I'll probably do again this next year. Anyway, so you may be a winner and get to suggest something like this for me anyway. So yeah, so I'm going through all 95 movies I've seen before, at least once. Some of them, it was a while ago. I don't remember them so well. Some the ones I like more, I've seen more often. But so yeah, we're starting with number 65. Number 65 is actually 2 Oscars ago, a pretty new one. This is CODA, which won Best Picture in 2021, which sees a girl who lives in a family of 2 parents that are deaf and a brother that's deaf, and she is not, and kind of goes through her journey as, you know, having to deal with being with her family and helping her family business, or going to college and getting a singing scholarship, which is something she really wants to do. Anyways, yeah, and this was kind of a surprise win for the year. Like, I was not seeing this one winning. It was the first streaming movie actually won Best Picture. This was an Apple streaming movie. So it beat Netflix, it beat Amazon, who usually gets a couple nominations each year. So interesting, Apple gets in there to be the first one, only one so far. Definitely breaks the mold, and definitely we're going to see more streaming movies probably in the future because of this, probably get in there. But yeah, overall, I wasn't a big fan of this movie. I guess it's supposed to be kind of heartwarming because it deals with the deaf community. And one of the big problems I had was that there was a lot of scenes where she's with her family and they're speaking to each other in sign language. But if you don't know sign language, you have no idea what they're talking about. There's no subtitles to the sign language. So I found that kind of hard to watch and go, gosh, I have no idea what's going on in the scene. So I was lost a lot of times. And the other times when we do get we get, you know, she says what they're saying, the dad was very sexually inappropriate throughout the whole movie. And I found that just very odd. Also, the teacher that's supposed to be the inspiring teacher, I thought was a bad performance. And I didn't like that character at all. Even though it's supposed to be like an inspiring teacher type. I don't know, I didn't like that performance at all. And yeah, so the combination of those things just made me not, it was just a blah movie. Didn't think it deserved the Best Picture. But anyway, that's number 65 on my list. Number 64 on my list is a movie called Terms of Endearment, which won Best Picture in 1983, the year I was born. This was a big movie for Shirley MacLaine, who won Best Actress as well. Also, Jack Nicholson won his 3rd Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for this role, which is very odd. It's one of my least favorite Jack Nicholson performances. And he plays one of the biggest jerks, and I feel like he's just a womanizing jerk. He's like a former astronaut who uses the fact that he used to be an astronaut to sleep with younger women. And he's the neighbor who gets together with Shirley MacLaine. Also, you get Jeff Daniels, kind of a young Jeff Daniels. Also, John Lithgow, you know, kind of an early John Lithgow movie. Danny DeVito has like a very small part in here. So interesting kind of characters that come through. Winger, I forget the main actress. One of the main actresses, Deborah Winger, is in here, kind of playing kind of the major character. It's about the the mother-daughter relationship between Shirley MacLaine and Deborah Winger's character. Kind of, they're close, but yet there's some problems there. But they come together towards the end. I won't spoil what happens at the end, but it doesn't really end on a happy term. I didn't like any of the characters, to be honest. Except for, Deborah Winger's character was fine. And Jeff Daniels I thought was fine, though he ends up being not great in some, I guess, in some points. But Jack Nicholson was terrible. Shirley MacLaine's character is terrible. So I really kind of hated the characters in the movie. And even though it's supposed to be very emotional, there's a very emotional scene at the end. I never really got on board with the movie. So for me, it wasn't a big one for me. So it's here at number 64 on my list. Number 63 is a movie called The Hurt Locker, won Best Picture in 2009, I believe it was. I don't think I wrote it down right, but yeah, I believe it was 2009 because it won against Avatar, which everybody thought Avatar probably should have won that year. It was definitely the bigger movie. But The Hurt Locker, first woman, Kathleen Bigelow, first woman to ever win Best Female Best to win the directing Oscar. First of 3 women we now have that's won the Oscar. So that was a pretty big point. Plus, she beat her ex-husband, James Cameron, who did Avatar, which is, I think, kind of a cool story. Hurt Locker was a much smaller movie. In fact, I want to say at the time it won, it was like the lowest grossing movie to ever win Best Picture. Not a lot of people watch this movie. It was definitely a big standout for Renner. Jeremy Renner got an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. And he was definitely a guy that was not real well known. He was he was in some movies here and there. Then this movie just catapulted him to stardom. After this, he then, of course, did the Avenger movies, playing Hawkeye. Black Guy, that's not a character. I don't know what I'm talking about. Hawkeye. Black Guy, that wouldn't be a bad character, actually. I have to think about that. Anyways, Hawkeye is the character that he plays in all the Avenger movies and has his own show, anyways. And Renner's done a lot of great work since, anyways. And unfortunately, almost got killed a couple of years ago. And I don't know if he's going to do any more movies or not, but there's definitely a big one for him. Anthony Mackie also in here is really good. Overall, I thought it was kind of a boring movie, though. I couldn't really get on board with the plot and everything. And it's about people soldiers in over in like Afghanistan, I think, or Iraq, dealing with bomb disposal, unit, which is a very dangerous unit because there's a lot of, suicide bombers over there. And so he's dealing with all of that, all the stress of that, plus being away from home. And I don't know, it just was really big on the characters or the plot line overall. And like I said, it's such a small budget. Not small budget, but didn't do much in the box office. So it was kind of a small movie to win, but to me, it wasn't big for me. So number 63, I got The Hurt Locker. Number 62, got one of the movies that definitely should not have won Best Picture, and one of the biggest mistakes I think Oscars made, and that is Shakespeare in Love, which won in Best Picture in 1998, which, if you know, it beat Saving Private Ryan, which Saving Private Ryan I have a lot of problems with just because not because of the making of the movie. The movie's made absolutely amazing. There's lots of great stuff there. It's just a violently disturbing movie that I don't like to go back to. But besides that, it's a great movie, and I think it definitely deserved Best Picture. So Shakespeare in Love is such a weird movie to get in there. Kind of this alternative take on Shakespeare and a romance. It's a kind of fake movie about Shakespeare and him writing Romeo and Juliet and having this romance. And I don't know, I wasn't really into the story, the romance, the whole plot I was not into. And the ending was not that great either. I don't know, it was just a ho-hum movie to me. I don't know, I took off, I guess, because of the romance. Gwyneth Paltrow won Best Actress. Ray Fiennes kind of definitely was a big movie for him as well. Shakespeare in Love, not huge on it. Number 62 on my list. Number 61 on my list, a big musical that I'm not huge on, actually, and it's My Fair Lady, which there was 4 or 5 musicals that won Best Picture in the 1960s, and this was one of them. To me, probably one of the weakest, in fact, I would say the weakest winner, maybe, I think, out of 4 of them, yeah. And I don't know, I just never really got into this one. It's, of course, very long. The music is just okay. There's not a song that really stands out to me. Rex Harrison wins Best Actor, and he's just okay actor. I don't know if really that great, and he doesn't really sing. He just kind of talks through the songs. I do like Audrey Hepburn, of course. I always like her in a movie. One of my favorite actresses from this period of time. And I think she doesn't even sing. I think they dubbed her voice in the scene. But she was pretty good in those Cockney accents. Hello, governor. Those I love those Cockney accents that they do. And he has to change her way of speech is fun. But I don't know, overall I found it to be kind of a long, boring movie. And the romance between the two, Eliza Doolittle and the Rex Harrison character, doesn't really work. He's a much older guy. I don't know what he does that makes him fall in love. I don't know. The love story doesn't work for me. I come accustomed to her face, that whole scene. That's apart from the movie if you don't know. But anyways, yeah, it doesn't quite work with me, even though I do like musicals. It's not one of my favorite, but here, I guess because it was a big costume, and it's fairly well-known kind of story. Did well for the Oscar voters anyways. But yeah, that's My Fair Lady at number 61 on my list. 60 on my list is Ordinary People, won in 1980. This was Robert Redford, won Best Director. He's directed a couple movies that have been big. This is definitely the big one because he won Best Director for it. Another one of those actors turned director, though he's not as well known as a director, I think, as like people like Clint Eastwood, who's also won, and what's his name? Betty has done very well. Forget his first name, but anyways, so it was interesting to see Rob Redford turning into the director's chair. You got Donald Sutherland in here. You got Mary Tyler Moore in kind of a more adult role than she's ever done. More of probably the best performance she's ever given. A really dramatic role, which she's mostly known for, like sitcoms and stuff. Timothy Hutton won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and he was pretty young at the time. One of the youngest, probably, Oscar winners in that category. It's a very sad, dramatic movie. Very depressing, I say. It's a very depressing movie, and that's why it's never been big for me. The performances are definitely very good in it. Because it deals with a family, and one of their sons drowns, I believe, and dies in a drowning accident. And the other brother, played by Timothy Hutton, kind of goes through a big depression because of it. And the fact they all go through a depression, and it breaks up the family. I think the marriage kind of falls apart. His son kind of blames himself, I think, for it, if I remember right. And he has to go through therapy, and it's a lot of these therapy sessions. Yeah, not a fun movie to watch. Not one I go back to personally. So it's here at number 60, though I do think the performances are very good. So Ordinary People at number 60. Number 59, we have Driving Miss Daisy, which won Best Picture in 1989. And man, this is such a small, I think of Best Picture winners being like these, you get these like I said, My Fair Ladies, these big costume dramas, maybe, or musicals, these more epic feeling movies. And so Driving Miss Daisy is interesting because it's a very small scaled movie in a sense. And it's really mainly two actors in there. Of course, Morgan Freeman playing the person who's driving Miss Daisy, the chauffeur or whatever. And now I'm forgetting the name of the actress. Is it Candy? Jessica Candy or something like that. She plays Miss Daisy, which she won her Oscar for Best Actress for, which at the time, I don't know if it still is, but at the time she was the oldest actress to ever win Best Actress, because she was like up in her 80s probably when she won it. And it's kind of a classic story. I think it was a big, I don't know if it was a book or something like that, turned into this movie. I think everybody's probably heard of it. About a old white woman who can't drive anymore, and so her son, played by Dan Aykroyd, who got nominated for an Oscar surprisingly, hires Morgan Freeman's character to drive her around, which he's of course black, so it kind of deals with the race issue. Because it's done during time period, I think, where we're still in the civil rights era, whatever, where black people and white women aren't supposed to be really socializing. And of course, it's about them really not getting along. She's kind of mean to him at first, but he's still nice and he does things for her. And then she eventually they eventually become like best friends, and at the end of the movie. And it's not a terrible movie. It's just not one that really stands out to me, one that I go back to. I will say Morgan Freeman is really good. Jessica Tandy, that's the name. Jessica Tandy, who plays she's very good. Of course, she won the Oscar. Morgan Freeman, though, really good. I always love him in movies. He always does a really good job. And he definitely, I think he got nominated as well for maybe, I don't know if he got nominated for an actor or best supporting actor, but probably best actor. I think he got nominated. But anyways, definitely one of those. And this is 1989. I mean, he does even better work, with Shawshank Redemption and everything like that coming forward. But yeah, I won't say it's a bad movie. It's just not one I go to very often anyway. So that's number 59, Driving Miss Daisy. Number 58, yeah, definitely one of the smallest movies on this list as well. And it's called Marty, which you might never heard of. It's not really one that people talk about when they talk about big, Oscar-winning movies. This one in 1955, Ernest Borgnine, who was kind of not a big named actor at that point. He was in From Here to Eternity. He had a small part in that movie, and so he wasn't a major name, actually, that starred in movies. So this is kind of interesting, putting him in this starring role as Marty. And it's like I said, it's a very simple story, and it's only like 90 minutes long. It's a very short kind of movie comparatively to a lot of the Oscar winners are these big long ones. And it's really just about this guy who is, I don't know if he's in his 30s or 40s, and he's never been married, and he's kind of overweight and not that good looking, and kind of giving up on ever finding love, and all that. And he lives with his mom, and his mom is like, you need to go out there and find a girl, and there's one great scene where he's, talking to his mom telling him, there's a dance, he needs to go to this dance and find a girl. And he, talks about, yeah, I'm not very good looking, and I don't want to go out there and be disappointed. And it's a really great scene. Reason why Ernest Borgnine won Best Actor for this role. Yeah, he like I said, first starring role, he won Best Actor for this. After this, he would be a huge star, star in a lot of movies or co-star in a lot of stuff. Also, TV show McHale's Navy, he starred in as well. Really like Ernest Borgnine. He's a great actor. One of my favorite actors, in fact, in this 50s, 60s period. Very good performance here. Anyways, but he goes to this dance and meets this girl who's not considered very good looking. And so it's kind of like this odd couple of these two people that aren't like particularly good looking, but they have a good time anyways. And he kind of falls in love with her. So it's kind of a love story in a sense. Again, it's a fine movie. It's a little boring at times. It's not one I go back to a lot, though I do like Ernest Borgnine's performance here. And like I said, it's more like a romantic movie. It's not like a big, huge blockbuster of a movie, but still kind of cool at one here in 1955. But yeah, so I have Marty here at 58 on my list. 57 will be surprised because this is a movie that I think most people don't like, and it's actually probably pretty low on people's list, but I actually kind of like it more. And that is called GiGi, which are like, GiGi, what's GiGi? Yeah, it's not a movie you probably ever heard of. Won Best Picture in 1958. Definitely one of the least likely movies that you're gonna hear people talk about, but it's a musical at this time. Another musical that wins Best Picture. Of course, musicals were pretty big. Leslie Caron, I believe, is starring as GiGi, which she is French. The actress is French, and the movie takes place in France. The characters are French, of course, so GiGi is a French name. That's why it's called GiGi, which is a pretty cool name. Only problem is there was like a really bad movie that came out in the 2000s called Gigli with Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, which is like one of the worst movies ever made. But this is GiGi, which is a much better movie in my opinion. But yeah, it's a musical. It's kind of actually very similar to like My Fair Lady in the sense that Leslie Caron, who was also in American in Paris, I've talked about before. That was like her first starring role, and so this was a big starring role for her. She plays kind of a young lady who then gets romanced by a man who's fairly wealthy and is like looking, but he's not liking a lot of the girls that he's dating. Are, I don't know, they're all uppity, women in high class society. And so he's kind of bored with those kind of women. And so he strikes up a friendship. He's actually kind of friends with this girl. And they kind of blossom into a romance, I guess. There's a guy named Maurice Chevalier, I believe his name is, who's great, who's throughout the movie kind of narrating the movie in a bit. And he's kind of older French actor who did a lot of movies in the 30s, actually. Was big in the 30s when he was younger, but he was in some movies at this time. He has a great French voice. I mean, if you want a great French accent, it's Maurice Chevalier. He's so good. He's in another movie that I really like called what's it called? I forget. There's something of the Castaways. It's a Disney movie that he was in that he was very good as well in the 60s. But yeah, I love him. There's some actually pretty good songs in here. Like, even though Thank Heavens for Little Girls is a very creepy song when you have an old French guy singing it, and he's talking about little girls because they grow up to be women, and Thank Heaven for Little Girls. And it's like, a little creepy, but not a bad song. And Those Were the Days, and even GiGi at the end is a pretty good song. So I actually kind of like this movie. Not bad. Number 57, GiGi. Fun to say, too. All right, the last movie I'm going to talk about, number 56, is a movie called Amadeus, which won Best Picture in 1984. And this is about Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, which actually was in Salzburg this last summer. And there's a huge Mozart statue. There's a museum about where he was born there in Salzburg and lived there. Anyway, so we went to the cool museum of him. And there's even chocolate bars, little chocolate balls with Mozart's like face on it. Like, he's huge in Salzburg. He's everywhere. So I got to see a little bit of that anyways. But yeah, this is kind of a fictional story somewhat of his life. Of course, one of the great, he was young and he was this great composer, music composer, and came to, because he's from Salzburg, which is Austria, but he came to, I don't know, where was it? I forget now if it was France or somewhere. He kind of worked for the king as like the king's composer. And there's another guy that, I forget his name, but played by, now I'm going to forget his name too, Abraham, his last name. And he won Best Actor for this role, actually, in the movie. Savali or something like that is the name of the character. Anyways, and he's kind of jealous because Mozart comes up and he wants to be the king's like major composer. And all of a sudden this young guy who is a little immature and isn't a devout Christian is coming up, and he's better than him. And so it's not true, I think, in real life, but yeah, it's of course the drama of the movie is him telling the story about how he's jealous because he was a Christian, he's very devout, and he thought, why is God blessing this non-Christian with this gift? Anyway, so it's kind of interesting. I think there's some interesting ideas there. And the performances are pretty good overall. It's kind of a boring movie, I think, a little long. Not one of my favorite, but there's some good stuff in there that I like anyway. So I have it here at 56. And I'm not like a big classical musical guy either, but I do admire, the big ones like Amadeus Mozart, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And so of course, a big scene where he's dying and he tells them, like, he's explaining how to, he's like has a music in his head and he's trying to explain it, and he's so good that he's having a hard time writing down the music as he's telling it to him. Like, just shows how brilliant Mozart was. And he was like at a young age, he was like just very brilliant, and just kind of interesting when you get those kind of people. Anyway, so yeah, it's not for everybody. It's an okay movie, but I have it at 56, Amadeus. So that would be the last movie I will talk about on this list. Next time I'll start with 55 on downward. Anyway, so eventually get down to number 1 on my list. These movies are definitely getting better. As I'm saying, early on, I'm like, I don't like these movies, but I'm now getting to movies where I'm like, yeah, these are okay movies for Best Picture. Not my favorite yet, but once we get down, we're gonna get some really good ones. But anyway, so please feel free to comment what are your favorite movies out of these 10 that I mentioned. Yeah, I'd love to read anything, what you think about them. Are they too low on my list? Are they too high? Whatever. I love any comments. And just thank you to everybody watching this video. Thank you to anybody who likes the video. And thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a good